Here's the problem. People have been fighting that battle to try to take the Democratic Party from the centralized structure. They've been trying to take it from the DLC like Democrats because even though the DLC is a new phenomenon from the 90s, that stuff's been around since right after George McGovern lost. He created it actually with his reforms, and they had been doing that, and the media infrastructure and all that. That's not going nowhere. You're not going to just be able to take that stuff over and boot those people out. To be honest with you,
But they booted themselves. They booted themselves in. No, they can be gotten rid of. It
not
won't.
without
It
not
won't
without
happen.
organized money and no media infrastructure.
Right, yeah, no, absolutely. But don't overestimate their abilities either, right? They do not have a media infrastructure. They have a few outlets that are big outlets, but they don't have anything compared to the conservative media structure. Like challenging the progressive media structure is actually 10 times easier than challenging the conservative media structure. So what I'm saying is where we fall short is, and this is just my opinion, and then I'm sorry to cut you off, you can share your own, but I honestly think we fall short because we're not consistent with our outrage and we don't play the long game. The DLC played a long game. The DLC is the Sith Lord of the Democratic Party. They played a long enough game so that they can completely usurp all of progressivism and replace it with neoliberalism, and we were looked around and said, what the hell just happened to us?
I really don't. I'm not sure it was that long of a game. I mean, it started after George McGovern lost, and I
Well, we
think
were weak long enough.
Mondale.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when Mondale lost and Dukakis lost, they were too liberal, but in actuality, they lost because they were from the DLC. They had moved to the DLC. They were just liberal by today's standards because as the party has moved to the right, the Republican Party has moved to the right. Our whole spectrum has moved so far to the right that we don't realize that that was actually moderate back then. It started when they decided that they were going to give up working class people. Why the Democratic Party decided that they were going to give up working class people and only cater to the affluent and the intelligentsia, that was a huge mistake. That hurts us to this day. They, to this day, believe that because of demographic changes that they cannot lose elections. But you saw when Barack Obama was elected, we lost like 900 seats across the country. So
Yeah.
this where we are today is an exact result of all those decisions. And what are their decisions right now? Another centrist. They're not going to change that.
Yeah.
And you can say that we have to take it back and we can fight it and all that. People have been fighting this the whole time. They fought it for it to get like that, and then they fought it trying to keep it from being like that, and now they're trying to fight to take it back from that.
I don't think we fought. I don't think we.
We did, and when George McGovern.
Not
Actually, I'm sorry, not after George McGovern, but Mondale and stuff, he wasn't supported by the unions. The unions all boycotted the Democratic Party at that time, trying to get their seats back.
Yeah, no, what I'm saying is I don't think the anti-DLC coalition has been organized and fighting in an effective way over the last 25, 30 years. I think the progressive movement, once it left or was exercised out of the Democratic Party, it really fractured into a lot of individual smaller groups that are almost as difficult to pull together as the Democratic Party is difficult to pull together, right? You have socialists and you have communists, you have people who see things just totally different, who have 99% of the same ideology, but 1% that's totally different, and we can't really work together on the far left. I don't recall, and I could just be the effects of the Cavassier. I can't presently recall a movement that has actually challenged the DLC in a meaningful way in the last 30 years. And
well, I thought Jesse Jackson's Rainbow Coalition actually did challenge them in a meaningful way.
That
and
was
guess what happened?
That was the beginning of the DLC. That's when the DLC was finally. The DLC came about to suppress him.
Yeah, but I'm saying that was a significant challenge in the last 35 or so years. That was a significant challenge, and what happened? We had a populist that talked about working people's problems, that connected with one half of the Democratic Party, and guess what? The racism and identity politics, racial tension and identity politics was used to destroy that movement, and that's what we have happening now, except it's just a different group that's with the DLC this time.